All right, everybody, welcome back to week 3. I'm here with my co-host Animated Jay. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm feeling great, Teddy. I mean, there's just so much variety and just creativity and just overflowing with just the individuality of each Glover we can continue to see throughout this contest. But Teddy, what's going on today? What do you got to say?
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, Jay, because one thing that I really like about this competition is that each of the 4 groups are separated by playlists, and
Hmm.
each playlist is designated according to a different vibe. So you're actually seeing competitors group together based on their taste in music and uh, what they feel most comfortable competing with as a tool in their gloving arsenal, because that's what songs are to glovers. So anyway, but let's go ahead and bring in our judges for today and let them tell us exactly what they're looking for. So on the traits side, first we have Blitzen. Blitzen, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. I haven't judged a gloving competition in a really long time. So I'm excited to see all the new glovers and just, what's out there in the world of gloving right now. So in the traits section, we're specifically looking at delivery, showmanship, musicality, but within that, I'm really looking for how glovers are telling a story with the music, and using all those different elements to bring something unique and that makes their show stand out from everyone else's show. And that they're actually listening to the song. So many times I've seen glovers just throw shows, and they're wonderful shows, but it's only a light show if you're gloving to the music, right? So I'm going to be on the lookout for that.
Awesome, thanks. And rounding out our left and right brain, we have taken over the concepts Vincent Van Flow, our flower flails and petals coach at You Got Moves. How you doing, Vince?
Hey, I'm doing good, Teddy. So,
Yep.
so for myself, I'm looking at cleanliness, use of space, difficulty concepts. As far as, say, with cleanliness, one of the things I'm looking for, I'd say the biggest thing I'm looking for is, well, two things. One is, every move has a kind of a shape that it follows. So simple example, like you're doing some sort of tut, you bend it, you make an arc. Like I'm going to make sure that one, it's actually an arc that you're tracing. And on top of that, I also look for, I personally call it wasted movement. So say a lot of times you'll see someone doing a move and maybe they're doing something, but their hands are like wobbling around. That is a big no-no for me.
Hmm.
And in order to get a full score, you got to be perfect. One mistake that I see drops it down from a 5 to a 4. Unfortunately, there is not a half point.
As it should be.
Yep.
Ooh,
And use of space, I'm definitely looking for a sense of things being deliberate. That is very big, and you can't spend all your time in one spot. And on top of that, there's also a sense of, where's your baseline, sort of your baseline position, and then you go back and you come back and revisit it. Come back and revisit it. There's just there's a it's not. I guess it's technicality in a sense.
right.
Difficulty of concepts. I mean that's pretty straightforward. I would say this is sort of a combination between dexterity as well as say the brain. I'll call it brain power that it takes to execute the move. So say there's a very big difference between you have something that's very technical like finger stacking. That's highly dexterous. And then you have things that aren't so dexterous but still require a lot of brain power that will still count. So
Mental dexterity.
yes, mental dexterity. So
Here we
for
go.
example, complex flail patterns, um, like a lot of tutting. There's a whole host of things. I'm looking for all of it.
Well, our contestants better bring it, cause it sounds like our judges ain't joking.
They know what
Teddy,
they want. I love it. It's
they,
great.
they do. Teddy, who we starting with for today?
So today, in the first episode of Group C, we are looking at Starstream TuT, Ron, Hypno, and rounding out the day will be Materia. Shout out to Materia for hosting the Whip Olympics, by the way, and providing us some great content before the GFC got started. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into it with Starstream TuT.
All that I want in this life is the chance to do my thing. Yeah. I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot. I need the top. If you know me, you don't know me to stop. I need the top. All my people there back in the spot. Let off the shot. Yeah. Drinks on chill, got drinks on chill. Lights get dim and I think I will. I work so hard that I think I will. Yeah, the long week, bitch, how you think I feel? History favors the bold dog. Roll something, make sure my story gets told. Make sure our story gets told. The night's forever young, it's us that get old.
That was Starstream TuT. Animated J, take it away.
That was wild. He's the first one that I saw that started backwards. Like I feel everyone starts off in the front and he was like, nah, I'm gonna show you my back and start with that, which was really crazy. And then like he was just flowing. But like Blitzen, what did you feel about his approach? And did everything go with the sounds? What were your thoughts?
I think anytime you can have a strong intro, you're already setting a good tone, and acknowledgement to, the lyrics and the vocals helps bring the show to life, and it doesn't get too stuck on, the density of all the other like concepts that are being thrown. So I loved that. I think just a creative intro is always great. I wish with that there was a little bit more front, like a little bit more front light on that, so I could see how he was referencing the camera and the audience for that. And I think sometimes Glovers get a little bit afraid of doing that, but I think having your body and face lit is not always a bad thing, because I think we like to see the person who's we want to see the Glover and their own reaction to what's going on. He kept musicality the whole time, though. It was like on beat, and especially with down tempo songs, it's to keep someone engaged with a little bit more low key music can be challenging, and I think he did that really well.
Dope, dope. Going now to the more technical side, Van Flow. I noticed in the video he reminded me a friend of mine named Jules from the past, Gems. He would do these things where it was like negative space, or I forget exactly what that
Yeah,
term was.
he did something where he brought his hands kind of like this and he like folded it out and
Right.
like that. I like that a lot. Uh, but yeah, that is I'd have to look at that closely again to tell you what that was. But I did enjoy that. I would say like I guess I'll go one by one here. Use of space, really liked it. I'd say there's a little room for improvement, but he's definitely up there. That's for cleanliness. So this might surprise some people. I have an eye for flails, like the flower flails. Which makes me. I feel like he might have known that I was judging and kind of catered to that a little bit, but I would say there can be a mistake made there where if you're not completely like clean with it, and you have someone looking at it who has an eye for it, it might not be a good idea. Specifically, there was a box mode 4-pedal, which I don't see very often, which is really cool that he was doing that, but it kind of flopped a little bit on it, and that dropped what would have been probably a 4 in cleanliness down to 3, unfortunately. Just the some of his flails were clean. The more like diamond mode type one was the cleanest, I think. I also liked a lot how he, when it comes to like difficulty of concepts, and this ties a little bit into use of space as well, but he would take simple concepts and sort of up them a little bit, and with certain movements where he might kind of do this sort of thing where he's like moving it around, the sort of domino effect type of thing. That I like doing that sort of thing a lot. It adds a nice layer of complexity where there often otherwise isn't. So I'd say he did pretty good with complexity. So
It sounds like important lessons to know your judges, especially when
yes,
they're about to do something, So
yes,
lesson of the day for anyone in the future coming into this contest, know your judges. Teddy,
yes.
who do we got next?
So next, we are going to be taking a look at AA Ron. Bring it on, AA Ron.
All other criticisms do.
Lost forever.
That was AA Ron, animated J.
That
What'd you
was
think?
that was hypnotizing. There was something about it that was like I was like kind of like my focus was like closing in onto the space he was using, and I'm not sure if it's his character or energy or what exactly is it that made me feel like I was enjoying this trip. Blitzen, maybe you could shed some light on what's going on. Is it like a storytelling? What do you see is going on?
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt very calm watching that the whole time, which is good because that is you're bringing your own personal energy into that, and I felt that right from the beginning. And the only thing I just wish he had just ended. There was an ending to it because it seemed like the music cut and then he just kind of stopped. And it was so consistent the whole way through, and he was on beat, and he was, kind of there were these little like shimmery moments in the song too that he was highlighting through the concepts he was using. And then at the end it just kind of melted, and I wish that he, added an ending to that, and that really completes the story when we're watching that.
Totally. That ending, that intro, beginning, conclusion, gotta have that. Van Flow. I saw those two things. There was like a fix 45, I believe that's the term, and the way he like transitioned. And then the
Yep.
other thing was was there wasted movement or what did you see? Like, so I guess my question is fix 45s and wasted movement. What did you see there?
So I would say actually he had less wasted movement than Starstream did. It was very clean. And one of the things he did with the fixed 45 that you don't see very often is you might have noticed he was going through one and then he stopped in a mid position and used that as a transition to something different. And that is something you don't see very often. That shows that he's quite comfortable with the fixed 45s. And overall, I liked how there was a lot of things that Starstream wasn't as good at that Aaron was, and vice versa. Like use of space in particular. Like Mary, you said that there was something very mesmerizing, captivating about it. And
Calmness.
yes, and that goes into this thing that I had said before about there being like this baseline point that you keep revisiting, and it lets you sort of like rest your eyes in one place. And he might go away for a little bit, but he comes back to it. Whereas Starstream was very much he was really good at using a lot of space. Aaron is very good at keeping your focus in one sort of position, letting you sort of rest and relax.
Wow, I love that because I've never really thought about like where the main focus is. Like just relating that to movement or in dance, like where do you want the person to look at? Which I guess if I had to think about it, when people do a wave, the focus is on wherever it's following. So dope. Thanks for that knowledge, Van Flow. Teddy, who will be our next contestant?
All right, so next we have coming all the way from Hawaii, Hypno. And that was I Am Hypno, Animated J.
I want a session with the dude. Like I wanted to like session, like hit him up, like yo, like you want a session? Like there was something about it. It was like I don't know, like some modern dance or something outside of what I'm seeing with like the usual what I see with gloving. And then his emotion, like there's like this emotion you can see on his face and this character. I'm not a judge, so I just want to pass it to Blitzen. Like, what did you see this character wise, emotion wise, storytelling? What do you see?
I was just gonna say there was so much emotion and feeling in that, and that's I was talking about that earlier with another light show where I think it's so important that Glovers light their face. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or dramatic, but when you can see that, you connect with the show. And there was a very natural progression with the music and the movements, and it told a very clear story for me. And especially the transition at the drop, because the drop was kind of subtle too, and he did switch up the movements, but he kept that same. It was a subtle transition, and it was because you don't always, when there's a drop, it doesn't always have to be whips and flails and all these, crazy big movements. It doesn't have to be that, and I think that it was very tastefully done the way that he transitioned that. And I felt that light show, I could see him and I connected with him. I enjoyed it.
Totally, totally. Yeah, it's a feeling. I love that. I love when I see things that's like a feel. Van Flow. There was this thing he did in the beginning. It was like I don't know what he was doing, but he was like controlling it and then making things appear and disappear. And also, what did you feel about the continuity? As like the show continued to go, did you feel it was still technical? What did you see?
So, definitely what he started off with that you're talking about, it's something that I feel like I don't see quite as much anymore. I can tell, it's Hypno very much from the time that, I was big into gloving and he was big and all that, so it's quite refreshing. Technical wise, I would say, he was definitely very clean. That was quite obvious. And when it comes to difficulty of concepts, that was he didn't go out of his comfort zone. Which is very important because you will you will slack a lot on things like not just cleanliness, use of space, but if you go outside of your comfort zone and when it comes to your difficulty of concepts, you will just you can tank yourself and say like Mary's category. And I think, for my particular category, he's like probably fairly average in as far as difficulty concepts. But I looked at that show and it was amazing, and I just I just know that he definitely was balling out in Mary's category.
Totally, totally. Well, man, Hypno, if you're ever in LA, hit me up. We got a session. Have like an arms hand session or something. Anyway, Teddy, what do we got next? Who's next?
All right, so closing out this episode is going to be from Chicago, Materia. That was Materia. Animated J, how you feeling?
Man, I just want to like chill with the dudes. Like he could just play his music and just do that show again. I'd be like, this is dope, man. The thing that was bugged out was how he started out with like a color that was like the red, they were flashing, and then during the part of the song it was like he switches the whole thing up and he goes off. Blitzen, musically, what did you see there?
That is a tool that is so I think it's just not used enough, where people are cueing the mode changes or color changes to match what's happening in the music. I think a lot of times people do that to accentuate the concepts that they're doing, but it doesn't happen that often when people are actually doing that to make the music pop a little bit more. And that's what we saw here, and especially, you know, using that to convey that there was a change in the music and a change in the overall feeling and the mood of the light show too. It was really tastefully done. I wish I just saw a little bit more of his personality though. Like, I've seen a lot of his shows, and I've seen where his showmanship could be, and I didn't quite see it there, you know, from what I know that he has thrown in the past. But you know, it was still a wonderful show.
Got you. Now, what he was doing, or what he's known for, Van Flow, is whips, correct? Those were whips?
There were whips and flails there.
Whips and
I was,
flails.
yep, I was quite impressed by his flails, actually. I know when I started looking at the show, I was like, oh, he's gotten a little more complex as glove than I remember after these years. And then he started pulling out the flails, and I'm like, oh, I see. It's incredibly rare that I see flails on that level from another glover who doesn't spin poi, especially. Where there might be a lot of things that other people might not be seeing. Say I'll give one as an example. You know, he was doing something where he had it, and we call this a buzzsaw plane, but he was doing in like an anti-spin hybrid, and I'm like, oh, okay, but he's doing this like in the buzzsaw plane, and some of the cleanliness can be worked on with some of that stuff, but it was definitely, if you want to impress me with flails, I feel like that's a pretty good video.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah, and and the only thing, like the main markdown I think I'd have is, I was like, no, you're going out of the frame of the camera when you shouldn't be. But given everything else, it was a good take. I see why I used that take.
Got it. Well, there you have it, Materia. Teddy, was that the last glove for tonight?
So that was the last cover for today. Next week, we are going to be taking a look at, let's go ahead and pull these guys up here for the magic of post-production. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at Lupo, Puma, Youngblood, and Morty. But before we get to next week, we still do have quite a roundtable discussion to head over on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook and Instagram, we're pretty much done. But if you're on YouTube, just hang on. We'll be back in about, 3 seconds. But before we go, Animated J, what is our roundtable topic for today?
To be a more experienced, seasoned, and better overall glover, what are the things that you have to break out of your comfort zone?
Breaking out of your comfort zone. I like it. All right. Well, we'll see you over on YouTube.
TuT.